Hey everyone, oh my god, first video in well over a month. Can't even speak today. And today we're going to be doing a top 10 worst Marvel movies. Now, I kind of wanted to put out something that wasn't amusement park related, especially since it's, off season and all that. Although I will be putting out, a big vlog on Friday. I'm not really going into big details yet. Maybe some other side videos with that potentially, I don't know. But, yeah, I kind of want to put this out because, I wanted, else to put out. So, we're just gonna get started with this, and for a top 10 list, I have my dishonorable mentions. And I got three of them, which are Thor: The Dark World, Amazing Spider-Man, and X-Men 3. All terrible, terrible movies. Just missed making the list. Now we're starting with number 10. Number 10 is X-Men Origins Wolverine. Now, look, I've never been a die-hard fan of the X-Men movies. The first two were very good. X-Men 3 was atrocious. This was even worse. First Class was great. Days of Future Past was great. Dark Phoenix, I hear, is even worse than this, but haven't watched it, and based on what all the reviews have said, I really don't plan on it. Now, the first 10 minutes with Wolverine and Sabretooth going into, the wars and stuff, that's pretty fun. Hugh Jackman is trying in this, but it was directed and executed so poorly, and it's such a terrible job trying to tell Wolverine's origin story that it's got it, almost way off. And they ruined a lot of great characters in this movie. Deadpool, especially. What the hell even is that thing? That's not Deadpool. That's like nightmare-inducing Deadpool mixed with, I don't know, Grimace from, the old McDonald's commercials or something. Yeah. They ruined Deadpool, they ruined Gambit, and they ruined a lot of characters in this movie. X-Men 3 was a train wreck also. But this movie I found even more lifeless, even more dull, even more just painful to watch. Yeah, I've only seen this one once, and yeah, it's pretty terrible. I don't plan on watching it again. Number 9. Okay, you're going to find that I do not have any kind things to say about any Fantastic Four movies, and this is only the beginning. Number 9 is Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer from 2007. A sequel to the, other train wreck of Fantastic Four movie from about 2 years prior. That's going to be later on the list. But had the same problems. I think Chris Evans could have been a solid Giant Storm. He was directed so poorly in the game, like a Halloween costume, so he was terrible in both the movies. But I think, of all the castings, that one could have had the most potential. But thank God he moved on to play Captain America, which is definitely a much better comic book movie role than that. But this film, they ruined Silver Surfer and they ruined Galactus, and they made the CGI in Silver Surfer, and this looks, it's like 1970 looking CGI. It's pretty hard to look at. They made Dr. Doom a wimp in all these movies. Probably explain that a little more with the other Task Force movies that are expected to come up later in the list. Yeah, this movie's a train wreck. The other one's a train wreck, but this one I hated less. Yeah, but both are absolutely terrible movies. Don't get me wrong. Number 8. Number 8, we got Hulk from 2003. Now, this one is more boring than anything. Although, the effects are very, very cringeworthy. And, this could have had, and this, the first ever live-action Hulk movie, and I feel like, with the different writers, maybe, the direction was fine, but I think, different script, had they had more scenes with the Hulk actually smashing, it would have been much better. But really, none of the solo Hulk movies have been very good. The 2008 one was certainly much better than this monstrosity, but it still wasn't all that great. Yeah, the Avengers really got the Hulk right. This and Incredible Hulk really did not. But this one, of the two, I hate it more. And the Incredible Hulk wasn't even an honorable mention, so. Yeah, I've only seen this one once, and I was nearly asleep within about 20 minutes of watching it. I got through the whole thing, but it was a slog to sit through. Yeah. and definitely one of the worst superhero movies of, at least the early 2000s. So, yeah, Hulk 2003 is terrible. Number 7. Number 7 is a little bit more of a recent one, Venom. I was really looking forward to this based on the trailers. The trailers made it look like it was going to be pretty badass, actually, but this was such a letdown. Tom Hardy was really trying in this, I could tell, but no one else was. There are some scenes that are pretty entertaining, followed by some that are just sleepworthy. And yeah, this like it just felt like a whole lot of nothing. And I feel like, especially the way the trailer made it look, this could have had some potential with a different director, maybe a different scriptwriter, and maybe have not as dated looking special effects, and it could have been solid. But the way it is now, it's pretty trash. I was about 4 years late to seeing this, and I honestly don't care. I mean, we're only 3.5, but yeah, I was actually looking forward to seeing this in the theater. I see that 30% Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, ouch. Yeah, I think I'm waiting to watch that. Waited a little longer than I thought I would, but yeah, I don't really think I missed too much. Didn't see Let There Be Carnage, and I'm waiting till I can, probably buy it for like $5 off eBay until I do that, because this was atrocious. I've really heard this, Let There Be Carnage is no different. I heard a third Venom is coming. I don't give a shit. I don't plan on seeing it. Number 6. Number 6, we got, I think, the worst Spider-Man movie by a long shot, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, I'm one of those people that tolerate Spider-Man 3 and actually find it more enjoyable than both of the Mark Webb making Spider-Man movies, which is not a popular opinion. I mean, yeah, Spider-Man 3 definitely had, terrible Topher Grace's Venom, no question about it. But I feel like the dance scenes made it pretty entertaining, and Sandman was actually a pretty cool villain in that. The first Amazing Spider-Man was, I feel like, a big step back from the, from the Sam Raimi trilogy, and that one felt kind of lifeless. This one, it ruined Green Goblin, ruined Electro, and ruined Rhino. Rhino, I don't even know what to expect anyway, because I didn't know much, as much bad I'm going into this, but I heard they were casting Jamie Foxx Electro. I was like, oh, that sounds dope. They made him one of the most ridiculous villains I've seen in any superhero movie. It's my birth. You've got my birthday sparrow time on my birthday. Fucking stupid. And I feel like Dane DeHaan could have been a good Green Goblin. He was just directed so poorly. That's why he's so bad in this movie. And I never hated Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, but terrible Peter Parker. They made Gwen Stacy pretty unlikable in this movie, and I think it was, yeah. No. I forgot who her character was, but they made her really unlikable in this. Yeah, gotta have brain fart there. And yeah, the worst Spider-Man movie, pile of garbage. I would rather sit through 10 viewings of Spider-Man 3 than sit through this turd of a movie ever again. Number 5. Number 5, we got Fantastic Four from 2005. Yeah. Brad Store's Surfer was terrible, but this one I hated more. Now, I'm going to admit, at one point I was in the minority where I was like, it's so bad, it's kind of funny. I rewatched it in 2021, and now it's just bad. I, hate this movie. I think this movie's shit. The costumes, all of them look like Halloween costumes. Tim Story directed this movie. He had no idea what he was doing. It was directed so poorly, and like I said, I feel like Chris Evans is Johnny Stormcloak, that saw a casting choice, had someone else directed it. And Dr. Doom was like an amazing villain in the comics, and they did not make him amazing or badass in any of those movies. They just made him a pussy. Yeah, and they made Dr. Doom an unlikable character, and even that, he's barely even in the movie. And it's very dated special effects, bad writing, bad execution, and just, it's 1 out of 10. It's a failure of a film. Nothing good to come out of it. Now, Number 4. Now, my number 4 through number 1 are going to be very, very obvious, but we're just going to get to anyway. Number 4. Number 4, we got Captain America from 1990. I think this made I want to say number 2 on my top 10 worst super movies list I did last year. Yeah, it sounds about right. I've seen this movie like 2, maybe 3 times by now because I found it for free on YouTube. This is the biggest joke of a movie I've probably ever seen. I mean, I don't know if they had much of a budget to work with, but it looks like, based on how the sets look, they probably had a maximum budget of like $15 to make this. Like, I felt like I was watching, like, let's say, like, a high school play of Captain America. Like, the first 50 minutes of, Captain America and Red Skull and in that war, I forgot what it was. That's actually, fighting Nazis and shit. Those first 15 minutes are actually pretty fun. Then everything just falls to pieces from there. And it's like nothing in the movie makes sense. It just feels like, one ridiculous moment after another where it's like, I'm going to try and recite, what I remember from the movie as best as I can. Even though the last time I watched it was over a year ago and I tried to block it from my memory. Like, this one kid was taking a picture of Captain America on a freaking rocket from the White House, and then 10 years, I think 20 years later, I don't even know, that kid becomes president of the United States, and then later on in the movie, you have Captain America pretending to get car sick so he could steal a car. He does that twice in the whole movie. And like the look of Red Skull, it looks even cheaper than a Halloween costume. And then the movie literally ends with Captain America winking at the camera. It's just one silly, ridiculous moment after another, and it's a ridiculous movie. One of the worst superhero movies I've ever had to sit through. Like, there are some moments where it's so bad it's kind of hilarious, and some where it's just painfully boring. Very inconsistent. I personally would rather have, more so bad it's funny moments, but, it's had a couple of those, couple of just really boring ones. Number 3. Number 3, it's Morbid time. It just came out last year. It's that bad. It really is. But seriously, this Morbius. I find it astonishing and pretty hilarious that this movie bombed twice in the same year. Like it came out like beginning of April. No one gave a shit. No one wanted to see this. And the memes came out. The studio was like, "Oh, maybe we released it at the wrong time." And then so a couple weeks went by. They bought it back, and then no one went to see it again. Good news is we're never getting a sequel. But seriously, this is one of the most painful sittings I've had to sit through within the last 5 years. It's fucking awful. Jared Leto proving even better he did in Suicide Squad that he just cannot act in a superhero movie. Like his performance as Morbius is just so stale. Literally, a wooden plank would have been better. And the effects, I was watching, I was like, did this seriously come out in 2022? This looks like it came out in 1922. Like, the effects, I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? Yeah. Storyline's very bland. Terrible writing, terrible direction. Horribly executed. And just so lifeless, so dull. Yeah. Yeah, everything about the movie is just wrong. Just wrong. I would actually rather sit through Batman and Robin, Superman 4, and Catwoman than sit through this piece of shit ever again. I mean, this was atrocious. Yeah. I would probably say, even with the direction MCU is going now, I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up as the worst superhero movie of the 2020s once this decade's over. I mean, this is fucking awful. Yeah, we're only about not even 3 years into, the 2020s, and I can already say it has potential to be the worst superhero movie of the 2020s. It's that bad. You watched it once. It's hour 45 minutes, but it feels like nearly 3 hours. It's a piece of work to get through. And yeah. Good news is no sequel. Number 2. Okay, number 2, I was debating of actually putting this on lists. I don't even know if it's actually a movie. But Fantastic Four from 1994. Apparently, this one wasn't even supposed to be released in the 90s. It got around through illegal copies from what I hear. And then 2018, someone posted on YouTube, and then lockdown, COVID, all that happened in 2020, and I watched it because I literally had nothing else to do. And yeah, this literally looks like a 5-year-old made it. The costumes, I thought there was no way they could be worse than the 2005 one. Oh, they were much worse. Like the thing in this sounded like Patrick Star. I kid you not. And the special effects, it literally felt like they were using plastic. And like Mr. Fantastic's stretchy power it looked like they were just put a broomstick with a glove on it and stretched it out towards the camera. Like I was watching, I was like, what the fuck is this? And they made Doctor Doom again a complete pussy in this one, and yeah, very juvenile, very ridiculous. Got nothing right. I mean, like I said, I don't know if this movie was even intended to be good, but yeah, that's a. Honestly, I really don't think I have much else to say about that one. I only watched it once, and yeah, like I said, this movie wasn't even intended to be released, but here we are. Number 1. Number 1 is 2015 Fantastic Four. The fuck else would it be? No shit. This was very, very obvious if you know me. I find it crazy that this was worse than the one that wasn't even intended to be released. That's sad. But seriously, Josh Trank had no idea what he was doing in this. I heard he was actually like drunk on set, and it's like, based on everything I was able to see, it looks like a drunk person or someone who was like high on marijuana made this. Like, it is so poorly lit. Special effects, I was like, did this seriously come out in 2015? And this had good actors, had potential to be good. All of them did a shit job because they were all directed very poorly. And it's like, when I heard like Michael B. Jordan was gonna be Human Torch, Jane Bell's gonna be the thing, I was like, oh, this sounds sweet. They both did a terrible job. They both did a really terrible job. And they did Doctor Doom horribly. Once again, they made him a Power Rangers villain in this movie. And it's like his motivation was like very confusing. And I feel like the whole movie was just like, oh, we have these superpowers, let's use them for no reason. And yeah, I nearly almost fell asleep watching this. I have it as my number 1 worst super movie of all time. It's so bad, I don't recommend it to anybody. Definitely one of the, I'd probably say, in the top 3, probably most boring movies I've ever had to watch. Only an hour, it's like an hour 40 minutes long. It feels like almost 4 hours. And this was just a slog to sit through. And I feel like this movie didn't give a shit. Josh Trank didn't give a shit. I feel like no one in this movie really gave a shit. They were just like, oh, new Fantastic Four movie. Let's just throw a bunch of shit on there and project out. Holy hell. Fucking garbage. I really hope the MCU does get Fantastic Four right eventually. But the direction they're going, I haven't even seen Quantumania. I've just heard it's terrible. The direction that they're going, I have no hope. And I hear, just based on, I don't know if this is true or not, this is a rumor I heard, but before this even came out, based on the reviews it was already getting, they fired Josh Trank for the next Star Wars project just from that. Yikes. I've seen this movie, that's really understandable, though. It really is. This is atrocious. And, yeah, it makes those other Fantastic movies look Oscar-worthy. Yeah. So, pretty much it. I don't think any Marvel movie will top it in the worst category, in my opinion. So that's pretty much it. Peace out.